Hello, and welcome to another Odyssey Nostalgia Raid Guide. In this series, we venture into the older raids in classic fashion. In this particular video, we tackle Fortress 1, the Chasm, in full Tier 2 gear, unmodded, and 60 spent skill points. This is Anhur, and I am joined by...
Ivyport,
Dreadwolf,
Mitchell,
Tesseract,
Flamefury,
Senilex,
Borsca,
and the one and only Cosmico.
You do know it's pronounced the Chasm.
Of course.
the Chasm.
It's an inside joke.
The Chasm.
Maybe we should keep it inside.
yeah, I get
Not
to
here.
eat that up every time.
We've got a four-way split video, Tesseract and controller at the top left. You were still Gadgets at this time, weren't you?
Yeah.
And then top right, Dreadwolf, mental DPS. Bottom left is Mitchell, nature healer. And bottom right was Cosmico, Cosmic Defender as ice tank.
why did you have to think when you said Mitchell then? I'm always a nature healer.
So just in case, I have to be
We
sure.
didn't see the bug form. Why not?
Yeah, you were in bug farm for the tier 1 raids. Why are you not in bug farm here?
I was sick of it. Couldn't do it anymore.
We were sick of it again.
Is that a donut you've got in your trinket slot?
Who?
On the belts?
That's the Eerie Jack.
Is it a donut?
Looks like a donut.
Hungry much?
It's quite clearly a pumpkin.
I'm gonna get a donut after we're done recording this video.
I like how Cos
So-
is going dangerous, without a cola in his cola slot.
I'm an
Hard
ice
work.
tank.
We're
What
moving through the
heck?
tunnel. You just saw we got to an intersection where there was two turrets on the left and the right. If you want to focus those down first, they can hit pretty hard.
They also knock you back a bit. Which is annoying.
That's pretty standard tactic for most of the raid, actually. You'll get these turrets at various points. You can just take them down as soon as you can.
I think the big talking point about this raid was when it first was released. They messed it up with the damage, and it was really easy.
Yeah, you could four-man this when
On
it first came out.
I think it's
believe
probably
we
one of the first
actually-
raids I did.
I believe we actually did foreman this as soon as it came out.
Yeah, we started four-manning it because it was a good way to get loot quicker.
Back
Yeah.
before replay badges.
Yeah, and then I remember the devs came out and said, yeah, there was an error in our calculations. It's not meant to be this easy. And after a hotfix, it was buffed up quite significantly.
That was strange though, because this was actually on the first test server. And people said, is it not a little bit easy? And it went live, and it was only a good couple of weeks later that they said, whoops.
No one listened.
Yeah, I believe that when this raid first came out was around about the same time I joined Odyssey, and this was one of the first raids I did with Odyssey. And for some reason, they insisted that I have to solo heal it, and I hardly raided ever by this point. And they were like, "No, you'll be fine." I was like, "Really? Oh crap!"
Did you cry?
No, I didn't cry, but it was fine.
They sound like bullies.
They were. They are.
They
Toughen-
are, aren't they?
They turned out grand after, didn't they? Toughened them up.
He was
Chuck
mentally
them in
scarred.
the end.
We've reached a big giant room where there's 4 turrets. You want to spread out and take those down. We were a bit reckless in the tunnels there. You can see everyone gathered around the tank, but you really want to give them some space to work, pull
Don't
everything in
leave me.
together.
Don't leave me alone.
Yeah, we did have real fun recording this though, but we did go a bit gung ho.
We had really fun.
We had much fun, yes. Something to note
Every
here
so
is that
often, you'll get stuff falling from the ceiling which will stun you, so be careful of your long animations.
something to note here is that there are actually 2 paths you can take in this first segment, and you can't get into the other path even after the raid closes. So There's occasionally irritating things like there's some investigations or briefings or whatever that spawn in the other path, and it's also possible that the treasure chest spawns in the other path. It's a couple of locations where it can spawn, but it could potentially spawn in an area that you can't access. And this is a bit annoying because there's some pretty neat loot that you can get from these treasure chests.
Has anybody seen the chest?
Has anyone seen the chest?
I quite
Bit of
like
a
the
salute to Luorana there.
I quite like the multiple routes in this raid though, because you can start on either one, either left or right tunnels, but they cross over at one point so that you can end up in a different room from a different direction, which I kind of miss. Every other raid since then has been just a straight line, whereas I like the chance that every time you go in here it could be a different route.
I find this is quite a sexual raid.
Excuse me?
Here it comes.
Please explain.
Being
The
called the
flame.
Chasm. Balls to the face, big holes that you have to dive into. As you can see there.
Cut that out.
We've reached the first boss.
Tess, did you just reset?
I wasn't looking, but I might have done. I was still needing the Oolong shoulders at the time.
Oh, for God's sake.
I think this raid as well, upon release, it was quite a departure from your kind of usual raids that we had by the look and the feel of them. They really, had new textures, and the overall look and feel of this raid was really nice and pretty, and that really followed up with FOS 2.
It's pretty.
They look really, really good, these raids.
It's very pretty.
And there
It's
you
very
can see me. You can see me go down there from my own stupidity. The boss, when just before he does his flying around there, he leaps up into the air and does a spin. And I was way too close with that one because that's a one shot for those that aren't tanks. In
Went
this
down
gear
on the
that we're
boss.
wearing down.
Yeah, stay ranged on this boss. Also attack the ads that you've got, because when they die you get power back. So this is the one fight in the entire game that you should have a full power bar in almost all the time.
As you can see there, he's also doing a bit of a charge. We'll just jump about the room. If that hits you, it can take like most of your health away. It's always best to either block it or get out of the way.
The ads can also stun you and prevent you from using some of your abilities. We didn't really have any issues with this at this point, but if you are having issues with it, this can be really just a DPS race, because this boss will enrage if you let him go too long and just wipe the team. So if your DPS isn't high enough, you can have problems with this boss. But that's the only time you'll have any issues at all. It's a DPS fight, this one.
On the flip side, if you've got too much DPS, you can bug the boss out.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that's not fixed yet.
I think that's every DPS has gone down at least once from that boss's AoEs. Saiyan was just standing there jackhammering him like a madman, like literally right next to him. I remember even when we were recording, I said, "Saiyan, get out of there." He said, "No, I'm grand, I'm grand." Bang, dead.
It's
Well,
DPS for you.
if Saiyan doesn't die at least 5 times in a raid, you know it's not him playing the character.
This was all pre-Origin Crisis that we recorded this as well, so everybody was melee DPS.
Except Dread, he has a pair of pistols for some reason.
What did you have here? It was the mental DPS, Saiyan was the earth DPS, and...
What power set were you that day, Flame?
I can't remember.
That does not surprise me.
But I wasn't using Ram Snapchat Fan. I'd never heard of it.
You weren't spec'd into that, were you?
No.
You'd have the power.
Can anybody see me? What am I doing?
I did see an Impaling
Probably
Thorns
dying.
before, so I don't know who used
Oh,
that.
it might have been
but-
nature. It could have been anything, really.
Do you not keep getting bullied away from being nature, though?
Yeah. Nature is my home, my first love. I'm not allowed to use it.
There's only room for one nature DPS in the league. So when the boss gets really low health, you have to watch out for him to start running to the centre. That's kind of his animation for ending the cutscene that'll end the fight. As he's running off now, if you DPS him too quickly, you will stop being able to harm him, and he won't run to the middle, and you'll basically just have to wipe before you actually can come back in and do it again. It's a bit awkward that you can't just kill him yourself. You have to wait for Superman to show up
and steal all the glory as he does.
Well, except when it slightly bugs out and he decides to attack one of the random ads instead of the boss. Which happens more often than you'd think.
Up here again, there's another split in the path. You can go two different ways, which, as was said before, just keeps the raid a bit more interesting. This split you can get into after the raid is finished, or even after you finish this segment of it, I think. So there are a couple of briefings and things on the different path that you can go back and get if you need to.
The console that spawns here, you're supposed to activate it to stop these bombs that Brainiac keeps dropping. If you activate it before Superman gets to it, it will bug it out and cause the bombs to continuously drop through the rest of the raid, which can be a complete pain in the ass.
Which is also it's also a bug that's been in the game for way too long.
Did we see who won the hydroponic garden?
I didn't make note of it.
I didn't see that.
Why?
Oh, just making sure it wasn't Flame, because apparently, according to his parole officer, he's not allowed to own one.
It's medicinal only.
He claims.
Has anybody
Well, section-
worked out what power set I am yet?
I can't see
No.
it.
We should make
Well,
a
leave
weekly
that
game
up
show
as
of
a
that.
question for the viewers. If you can find out what Power Flame is.
Yeah, write in with your answers, you'll win a prize. Hydroponic garden.
3 turrets in this room. You really want to focus those down. They do hit pretty hard.
This isn't a room.
An arena.
Let's have
Space.
that Rome.
You could be electricity, actually, Flame.
And this is a place.
No, I'm Earth.
I think I saw whirling doors there.
I think I'm Earth.
Well, you can see Saiyan jackhammering at least.
Got some pretty scenery along this edge.
Yeah, the Fuzz raids are probably the most pretty of everything in there.
They're the most visually stunning, aesthetically pleasing.
This is also a weird thing. Like when you first engage these mobs, they're always resetting.
Reset,
For some
reset,
reason.
reset, reset.
Oh yeah, Flame's definitely jackhammering.
Am I?
So we
You
had
are,
two.
yeah.
So we had 2 Earth DPS and a mental DPS.
Do Earth's powers overwrite each other?
They do.
Those two people.
Not the jackhammer though.
Not the jackhammers, but your debris fields and your totems will overwrite each other. I'm not sure if you can interact with each other's PIs though.
You can.
A
If you
day's mob is a day's mob, so it doesn't really matter. It's a shame that I didn't know that that they were going to go by that, and I would have more dazing powers on my hotbar instead of a terror build that I'm using right now.
I've just
Or
noticed
using
that
right there.
I'm actually one of the controllers for this raid, rather than a healer.
What? See what?
Apparently I was a mental controller at this point.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
You
This is
switched
an
to complete some
alternate-
styles, I think.
This is an alternate universe. Nostalgia raid. This is
where
Earth 2.
Origin Crisis began.
Yeah, it never even clicked with me. Mitch and Borsca are healing, not you.
Yeah, but that was actually my origin crisis. That I went back in time to try to make people more people go mental.
I think you were even on powered over time, Barry, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
You managed to pick up something somewhere that put your Vita over mine.
I think it's interesting to point out that on the alternate Earth, Dreadwolf actually sounds like this.
Yeah, I had to kill that one.
And Flame's a good DPS.
Oh.
Apparently I'm a good troller in this world, so
I don't know, those power bars look pretty empty to me.
that's Tessie's fault.
Yeah,
wasn't-
that's totally my fault there.
I wasn't missing POT, that was all I needed to do, innit?
See,
We've
Tess
reached the,
putting a pull on her bar right there.
Yeah, the second boss, the Sunstone Broodmother. Once the fight kicks off, we can explain it better, but Cosmic's activating the terminal on the bottom right, which will make the Broodmother spawn in the centre, shielded, cannot be damaged. To bring that shield down, you must kill the little crab guys. I can't remember their names.
The crab
Retrievers.
Crab people. Crab.
Sunstone
Sunstone
Retrievers.
Retriever.
I prefer crab people.
Little crab guys.
And as they die, they'll drop a crystal which you have to bring into the centre shield and it weakens it.
When they spawn, they're running towards these teleporter things, and if they get inside one, they will spawn one of the big guys that you got from the beginning, the Guardians. So you need to pull them away from the teleporters that they're running towards, which is why I put a pull in my bar. Generally speaking, the tank should be able to handle it, but if not, then the controllers really need to be ready to pull the mobs away from the teleporters.
Yeah, if you see Cosmic Defender's perspective on the bottom right, he's not doing much of anything except floating above the boss, keeping an eye on the arena, pulling in the retrievers as they appear.
I think the plan was I keep an eye on those two pads, and Tess would keep an eye on the other one, and that way none would get through.
Yeah, it's probably worth pointing out that Cosmic Defender isn't naturally a tank. He doesn't tank very often, so...
That's the
Full-
nicest way.
full-time-
Nice
a
way of
full-time
saying.
tank.
Nice way of saying I'm yeah.
No, I didn't really like that. A full-time tank can easily get everything in together.
I
Obviously, if
remember.
you're flight here, you've got flying up and you can see basically the entire field. I tend to run super speed on my tank, and it's you can't really see very much of anything at all, but yeah, you get a good view. You can just throw Inescapable Storm up there.
There's a nice little semi-rainbow around the bottom of the Sunstone Broodmother, I've just noticed.
And that shield on the Broodmother gets smaller the more crystals you put in, until
And it
eventually
is
she gets free.
down.
I remember
Yeah.
just after the mega servers, and at this time I wasn't in Odyssey. I was in my previously Future Fantastic, and I saw these Odyssey members were shouting for a pug tank for Force 1, and I kind of like built up enough courage and said, I'll join your group. And this is a fight I was most nervous about as a tank, because at the time it was a pain in the ass, really. It was probably the most difficult part of the raid at the time, and thankfully it went okay. I was like, yeah, I impressed these Odyssey guys.
I mean, you had
long
some rough
shoulders.
edges. You had some rough edges, Sen, but we managed to mould you into a halfway decent tank, I think. Broodmother's Cranium. It's an iconic style.
But it does drop fairly frequently, so if you're in the raid reasonably,
Yeah.
you'll get it.
Quite ugly as well.
That's true.
Did you get your oolong shoulders from here, Tess? Yeah.
No, I got them from Brother in Arms.
Ah.
What a
There's,
happy day that was.
I gotta mention as well, this section can also be bugged out if you fly to the door to this place before Superman gets there. He can just stop and go, no.
No more
Yes,
raid for you today.
Exactly.
Superman, I kill you. I'll kill you with a knife. No, you won't, Lex.
And simply not open the door.
No, you won't, Lex. I've got all
Which
these
is,
people here to help me.
Which is kind of weird since Lex is actually already in there and Superman has to break it for us to get in.
I love this bit. The Scorpion pimp slaps Superman and Lex out the way, and we're just too cool for school. Just, yeah, what's up? Let's go.
I'll help
Is
you,
it-
Superman.
There's feet in this room we can achieve.
But scorpions don't lay eggs.
Not actually true.
Which was easy when transmute was still functional.
I miss those days.
I don't know how the shock sodas work.
They don't work on it either.
It makes this
So,
feat pretty damn hard to get.
Yeah.
I believe the best way to do it, I've heard, is using a hard light DPS with lightweight.
Or with the whip thrash cuts through 'em. Like Daz through dirt on white sheets.
What about Ram Snapchat fan?
No,
What's that?
not so good. Never heard of it.
Yeah.
So the boss will dive occasionally. It'll do it on a kind of a scripted time, or it will also do it specifically when it gets to about 35% health. When it dives, spawns these little crystals, and you have to smash them. The best way to do them is to pick them up and throw them. Time-wise, you pick them up, you move to the next one, then you throw it, and then you can pick up the next one as you go. Any that
Yeah, you
don't
can throw
get
it at your
thrown.
feet, can't you? And jump and just carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can throw it and then jump towards the next one while you're throwing it.
If you don't break them in time, they'll spawn these little burrowers that you see dotted about now. And as you are picking them up, the boss will move under the ground and throw his tail up there. You see it and smash down.
But
Not
yeah.
sure if we've seen it yet, but he will encase.
No, he's just done
Player.
I've
there.
just seen it there.
Yep, does it see
And-
red?
Yeah,
I
put
guess
it on his tail, and then throw you away.
So usually you'll DPS them down to the 35% immediately, so you'll only get one phase of the crystals. But when you've got less gear, then you don't have the DPS to get them down quite so far. You might end up with a couple of phases of the crystals, but they're all just the same. And the feat that you get here is just for smashing all of the crystals and not letting any of these borrowers spawn. So only having the one phase is obviously the most ideal way to do that. And as we said before, transmute used to work on them, but doesn't anymore. Shock soders don't anymore, apparently. Hard light with lightweight is your best bet.
Do you remember when Home Turf came out and Orbital Strike level 4 was ridiculous and it would knock the bosses on their ass, and we were able to get this boss down one phase?
You could interrupt their scripted movements and just stun them and prevent them from going anywhere. It was dead funny.
You left your dog?
To defend the fortress.
That's a pretty badass dog, though.
He's a pain in the tank's ass, anyway.
Lex looks like he's conducting an orchestra.
And they're off.
Nowadays we go straight to the end. Straight to the end.
Yeah, in the gear we're in now, after this boss fight, we would literally go from this boss to the last boss and skip everything in between. And then fight them after the boss is dead.
Yeah, then you forget about them during the boss fight, and then the boss fight ends and the door opens, and you go, why am I being attacked?
Do you reckon you could solo
you.
this boss in tier 5?
I
This
doubt
raid,
it.
I mean.
Sold
No.
the entire raid in tier 5.
The first boss is the issue, as I said before. There's this. It's a DPS race. When you don't have the AOE damage on the ads, then the ads will just stun lock you, and you won't be able to do anything. And if you don't DPS the boss, he'll enrage eventually. So.
Mm.
The top and the right there of the tunnel entrance, you can generally just ignore them, take the enemies down and move on.
This is an odd room because if you die here, you respawn here. So if somebody goes down, it's actually probably not worth getting them back up again because they don't need to travel to get to you. and if they respawn, they'll come back on full health and power.
Yeah, that was annoying with the bridge there just before this room. If you die over there, you respawn in here with all these guys. And room's clear.
Awkward
Test right there, just
silence.
checking if the chest was available.
And the last boss.
And again, there's a feat attainable here at the last boss.
For essentially just doing it the easy way.
Yeah, I've never worked that one out. Basically need to kill the boss without killing any of the 9 pillars here in the room, and that will kind of set Crypto free.
But when you do that, ads spawn, and it's actually a bit harder to deal with, so...
Yeah,
Rescuing the
better off
Barctic.
yeah, it's better off just ignoring Crypto, let him go around and
Eat the tank.
eat the tank usually, or he just
He
focuses
is
on the
going
boss.
straight for my nads.
Can he? He can't be fully tanked though. He can break free and go for other people, right? You can't keep his aggro 100%.
Nope. Actually, I'm not sure. I think for this fight I managed to keep him for the most of it.
I think part of the issue might be if you get stun locked, you can't activate your aggro powers, so...
Does anybody know what happens if you kill Crypto?
Yeah, Borsca's ult doesn't get his feet.
Well, you can't you?
Dunno, maybe
Can't
Superman
kill Crypto.
enrages. Kills everyone.
You can't. He drops down to a certain point and then stops taking damage.
Oh. Thought Superman might enrage and do his Superman scream from Superman the motion
There's
picture.
very little from the Sunstone Domineer to worry about.
Focus on element 2, need.
God, those are so
That's done. Really simple fight.
rare.
Tesseract getting their hands on a large bone. There.
Pile of them.
Look at the majestic wonder of the fortress.
Epic! Epic!
Though I don't know how it's staying alight. Oh, it's on fire. It's so cold here, it's the Arctic.
Couple of ships in there, aren't there?
Oh yeah. Never noticed that before.
Yeah.
One of them looks a bit like the Batmobile.
Well, yeah, it's a ship what crashes into the fortress, and that's where Fortress 2 starts, because you come out kind of
Well, yeah, you can't have a
Yeah.
ship,
outside
don't
the
you?
ship.
See, the one on the left looks a bit like the Batmobile.
Yeah.
Just as a note here, with the new deserter thing, if you leave, you have to wait for the score guard to pop, and it takes a while for it to pop, so
Yeah, there's long
if you
cutscenes.
run out before it has, then you'll get deserter.
Where's
Like
Borsca?
He's dead.
You left.
You left.
So that's been Fortress 1. We've been Odyssey. Thank you for watching.
Don't want